Good morning. Well, what a palaver. It just shows, doesn't it, that you should not, under any circumstances, go away for the weekend or not use your computer for a couple of days because that's took me for about, I've been on since, I don't know, about 20 past, trying to kind of connect. And it was just going round and round. Sometimes your brain does that, it just goes round and round. And it was just going round and round, the roundy thing. Was just doing the roundy thing and nothing was happening. Yeah, everything seemed fine. But here I am. Could have been a YouTube problem, but anyway, and enough of that. How are you all doing? I'm doing really well. I've had a lovely weekend. Been away to spend some time with my friend Gareth in Edinburgh. It's been lovely and lovely train rides. Beautiful train ride from Durham up to Edinburgh, and lots of pondering and contemplation between me and Gareth as we went around all manner of things. And it's good, isn't it, to kind of get away and just do something else and just take your head completely out of your usual kind of day-to-day world, I suppose. So that was really nice. So that's been good. But we're back to it today. Now. We're running late, but that's all right because we've got slippage time, haven't we? We always have the slippage time. So I was just thinking about what to talk to you about today, and something popped into my head. Well, a couple of things popped in my head. I'm saving one for later on in the week. And the theme of today is to have a think about to-do lists, but kind of just to switch that about a bit. Now, I don't know what you think of to-do lists. People make to-do lists, don't they, all the time. Now, there's a problem with to-do lists. There's lots of research around to-do lists and their effectiveness, or some at least. And there are some commentators in the productivity world, myself included, who don't think that to-do lists are very good. And there are some reasons for that, borne out by the bits of research that I've read. Now, here's the thing. I do advocate a sort of to-do list. I don't like calling it a to-do list. David Allen, whose idea it is, doesn't call it a to-do list. He calls it a trusted system. So the to-do list, the problem with to-do lists are that they tend to be made when we're in crisis. They tend to be made kind of when you've got a day. You're not managing, you're not keeping up with things, you're not documenting what's to do, and then eventually you think, right, I need to get a handle on this. I need to get a handle on this, so I'll create a to-do list. And you go off to create the to-do list, and there are a few problems. The first one is you're never really very sure whether you've got everything on it. So it does create a bit of anxiety because you kind of think, right, okay, I think those are all the things I've got to do, but I'm not sure. Now, the trusted system is, I suppose, and I hesitate to frame it like this because it's more than this, I suppose, but it's just an ultra comprehensive to-do list. But not a to-do list that's made and then has things ticked off it and then is put to one side. It's an active to-do list. It's a to-do list that's constantly updated, constantly has things ticked off it, constantly kind of emerging. It's dynamic. It's not static. A to-do list is a static thing. Here's all the things I think I need to do today. The trusted system is dynamic because it just morphs and merges and flexes with whatever there is to do. So the trusted system, what you do with the trusted system, this wasn't what I was going to talk about. What you do with the trusted system is you make a start, and it'll feel like you're making a to-do list because what you're doing is you're externalizing all your memories. You're getting out of your head all the things you need to do. Now, David Allen would agree with this. In fact, he says this, your trusted system should be about your whole life. Because as I've talked about on many occasions before, the transference of stress or anxiety or good feelings between work and life is phenomenal, absolutely off the scale, So we have to try and manage our lives. So it fits with that idea of mine that we're trying to balance our lives, not balance work and life. So, so there's that in there. So it has to encompass everything. And it has to encompass all the things you need to do today, this week, this month, and all the things you might do at some point in the future. Now, different people do it different ways. There's absolutely no harm in you keeping this on paper diary, paper filing system, whatever. No harm in doing that at all. But what I would say is that keeping it electronically is much more helpful because it's much more easy to edit. So my trusted system, it's a bit of a combination of all things, and it's evolved over the years. It used to be purely my calendar and Excel spreadsheet. And my calendar had anything in it that was time or date specific, and anything that was active and needed to get done. And the spreadsheet was just a collection of all the things that needed looking at some point in the future. Someday, maybe, with the phrase, it will be the phrase David Allen uses. Needs looking at someday, maybe. I might get around to it, but I don't want to lose it. And you have to look at these systems on a daily basis almost to kind of make sure that you are updating them. So whenever something falls into your lap, whenever something comes into that sphere of responsibility that is yours, you have to grab it and get it into your trusted system. What is it? Is it something that you might just want to do someday, maybe a nice thing to do, whatever, or a project that's a good idea and you want to bank it somewhere and leave it there till later? Or is it something you need to do today, now, next week, whatever? How are you going to do that? And then you break it down into its parts. David Allen would talk about what's the next step or the next thing. I can't remember the exact language he uses. I personally think it's better to break the whole thing down into all the steps and then take it from there and diary all of those steps. Do a slightly different approach, but same outcome, I suppose. So the trusted system, I reckon when I first set my trusted system up, it took me probably about 3 months to be happy and confident that I had everything in there. So my trusted system now has all sorts of aspects to it. Different things get collected in different places. Just as an example, I use Trello to collect all the things that I want to watch, read, or listen to. That all goes into there. And periodically, I have a Trello day or a Trello morning where I just work through it and have a look, see what's there, and things reveal themselves. Obviously, if it's something that I have to watch or read immediately, it goes into the calendar with a slot when I'm going to read it with some slippage time built in and all that kind of thing. So the trusted system is really important, and I'll probably write an article about that. I've mentioned it in articles before, but I've never really written a full article on it. But the thing that I wanted to talk about today wasn't so much that, as ever with these things, wasn't so much that. It was this idea, this great idea that I heard. I think it was on a Siobhan McLean podcast, and Siobhan McLean, for those of you who aren't immersed in social work, is a social work trainer, or writer. And webinar deliverer. Very good woman. Does some great stuff. And I think it was her, might not have been, but it was the first time I heard it anyway. So she was talking about not making a to-do list. Oh, the problem with to-do lists, very quickly, the problem with to-do lists are you're never sure you've got everything on them. And so there was some stat I read years ago, and it was something like 40% of things on to-do lists never get done in the lifetime of that to-do list. And one of the reasons is we tend to pick off the easy things first. So we're still left with all these big tasks because we think we look at the list and think, I'll just knock those things off first. Anyway, how about having, and this fits with this whole idea that the world is a kind of very distracting place as well. How about having a to-don't list? What are the things I'm not going to do today? So today I won't check emails. Today I won't surf the web and look at YouTube. Today I won't connect with my colleagues. And these things are valid if you've got stuff to do that's really important to do. Obviously you want to connect with your colleagues frequently, I'd suggest. Obviously you need to do your emails, but for example, today on my to-don't list would be those very things, because today I need to mark, and I've got to get the marking finished today. So after I've done this, I'm going to start the mark. I will quickly have a look at my emails to make sure there's nothing lurking in there that needs quick attention. But as a university, we have a 48-hour response time, as our standard to emails. So I could not pick my emails up this morning and have a look at them tomorrow. I could do that. I'm not going to do that because I've not been at uni since last Wednesday. So I'm going to quickly have a look, deal with anything crucial. Then I'm going to get into marking, and I'm not going to check them again all day. And I'm not going to open Teams and connect with my colleagues. So those are the things that are on my to-don't list, and I think that's really important. What am I not going to do? Of all the things I could do today, what am I not going to do? And then I think if you've got a trusted system, then what you develop out of that trusted system is a to-do today list. Yeah, because if you've got a trusted system, David Allen would say that the art of knowing what to do next is knowing what you can safely not do. So if you've got this trusted system, and I look at my calendar, which is where the bulk of it goes on. I look at my calendar, got all this stuff on my calendar, and I do think, oh, actually, do you know what? that thing I've got in on Wednesday would be useful to do that today, or that thing that I've got in on Friday would be useful to do on Tuesday, or so I sometimes bring things into today, and because I work fastidiously to create slippage time in everything that I do, sometimes I find I'm working through the things that I think I've got to do today, and some of them don't take as long as I thought, because I always leave enough time, always try to. So, I mean, sometimes obviously things take longer, and you just have to accept that. But sometimes things don't take as long, and sometimes I find myself going, "All right, great, look, I've got all the things done I want to do. It's only 2:00. What can I bring into today from yesterday?" So sometimes you can look at it and think, well, what's to do today? Or what's on my to-do list? What am I not going to do today that might get in the way of achieving the task that I'm going to do? You know what I mean? And sometimes, for example, on my to-do list might be to do this. I might think, well, I normally do this on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but actually today it's got to go on my to-do list because there are other things that need to be done. There are other important things that I've got to get to that today are more important than this. How could I? How could anything be more important than this? So, so there are some ideas. This idea of not having this hierarchy, this massive to-do list that's actually called a trusted system that has to have everything in it. The good thing about having everything in it is you then trust it. That's the point. That's why it's called a trusted system. You trust it. You trust that everything's in there that you need to do. Now, that's not to say something doesn't kind of catch you up once in a while and you go, oh, wow, that's to do and it's due tomorrow. It does happen from time to time, but you're more likely to be able to predict the flow of your work if you've got some sort of system that has everything in it. Then from that, you can create a to-do today list. And then sometimes you can say, right, I'm looking at the day. This is what I need to achieve. What's going on my to-don't list? Don't do this. Don't do that. And it's those, often what goes on this to-don't list are those energy sapping, time sapping things. Okay, I'm not going to do this today. I'm going to check my emails once. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do these other things. Don't check your emails more than once. Don't check your emails at all. Don't ring one of your colleagues up just for a quick chat to connect socially, important as that is. But sometimes you've got to say, right, that's on my to-don't list for today. So there you go. To-don't lists, to-do today lists, and trusted systems. Have a good one. Get planning. Planning is it's the framework around which everything hangs. It's probably the most important aspect of life. I was doing a thing yesterday. I was doing one of my on the shelf podcasts where I explore the books that are on my shelf, and I do maybe 6 or 7 books at a time and just say what the important thing is. And one of the things that was in the Viktor Frankl book that I was talking about was, he said, life is a task. And that really resonated with me because we expect life just to happen, and it's that other thing that I say often, that hope is not a strategy. Life is a task. There is no entitlement to it all going well. There is no entitlement to us being happy with the way our lot and the way things happen. There's no entitlement to that. Life is hard. Back to Stoic philosophers now. Life is hard, but it's less hard if you plan the hell out of it and create, and you see it as a task. How am I going to live this life? And that goes back, doesn't it? See, we're all the way back now to Simon Sinek and Find Your Why, and Viktor Frankl's, find your meaning. We're all the way back to that, aren't we? All the way back to that. Find your meaning, find your why, because that'll drive you, and create your systems around that. Because life is a task. Life needs to be worked at, and I'm going to get maybe I should just shut up now. But the capitalist system, the consumer system we work in says, oh no, it should be nice. It should be lovely all the time. It should be fluffy. You should have things, and there should be beautiful things, and you should have beautiful food. No, life's a task. Life's hard. Life's hard work, but it's less hard work. It's less hard work if you structure it, plan it, organize it. We love routine. The human beast loves routine. So let's routinize things, structure them, plan them, and we'll have better lives as a consequence, I would argue. Lovely to see you. Check in. People seem to be finding their way to the YouTube channel now because the numbers are going up to, on the way towards the levels we're on Facebook. So that's good. I hope you're finding your way to YouTube and having a watch. I'm exploring ways to stream to both YouTube and Facebook at the same time, but it involves spending some money. So we'll see where we get with that. Okay, so there you go. Have a good week, and hopefully see you Wednesday. Can't see why not. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.